These are the new Zodys from Haworth. Over here is the new Zody 2. Now they just call it the Zody. The older Zody, the Zody 1, they call now the classic Zody. And this over here is the Zody Upholstered or the Zody LX. Now I thought it'd be good to do a breakdown of the difference between these two chairs because they're pretty much identical except for three things. One, and the most major, is that the backrests are totally different. The second difference is going to be the price tag, and the third difference is going to be the different color options that these chairs come in. Now, I did a full breakdown of the Zody 2, and you guys can go ahead and check that out up there if you'd like. Let's get honest. The price difference between these two chairs is about $200. The Zody 2 starts at $885, whereas the Zody LX starts at about $1,069. Now, in my humble opinion, but very strong opinion here, I think the price difference is more like $100 because on the Zody Upholstered, I don't think you need to get the additional lumbar support because you can't really feel it through the back pad. I'll talk more about that a little later. Whereas on the Zody 2, because it's using a mesh back, I think you absolutely need the additional lumbar support. And when you add that on, it brings the price of this to about $960, making the price difference in actuality about $100. The fabric colors that Haworth is using for their chairs are absolutely gorgeous. But the theme of colors between these chairs seems quite different. The Zody LX, the general theme seems to be pastel. Beautiful, beautiful pastel colors. Whereas the Zody 2, even though they do have a couple light options, they have much darker and bolder colors that you don't see in the Zody LX palette. If you like chairs, tech, and desk setups, make sure you get subscribed, leave a like on the video, and if you have any questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. I do my best to read all of them, and I try my best to respond to all of them. And of course, if anything in this video interests you, please consider using my links, as that really, really helps this channel so much. The backrests on these two chairs are completely different. Let's start with the Zody LX. So the most notable difference is going to be this is using a fabric with cushion inside versus a mesh, which means it's going to be less breathable and it's not going to be as flexible and move as well with your back. Now, the cushion that's used inside this backrest is very good. It's the same one found in the seat pad here, which I have found that it really adapts to your body. It like molds to your body over time. And so when you sit in this chair, the cushion will move with you, but it's not quite the same as with mesh. So keep that in mind. The other things to note is that because it's a cushion, it's not going to be as rough on your triceps if you're wearing short sleeve shirts. Right now the studio is like 50 degrees, so there's no way I'm gonna wear shorts in here. Sorry guys, I can't really show it. But trust me in that this feels definitely rougher than this material, and because it's soft, it feels a lot nicer on those triceps when you put them back. Speaking of triceps on the chair back, the way the backrest was designed is also totally different as well. This one terminates and is much more slender, which means I'm able to extend my triceps back and open that chest up much wider in the LX compared to the Zody 2. And it just feels really, really good. And because of the cushion, it feels like your back is in a much more ergonomically sound position when you sit up like this. Like, look at my back here. So this is kind of how I would be sitting in a proper seated up posture. And then if I sink back, you can see that there's hardly any difference. And as a matter of fact, I like a tiny bit of lean back, and this feels really, really good. The other difference is going to come in the lumbar support, which as I noted before, I don't think you should get because you really don't feel it because this cushion is super thick, super supportive. It feels really good. Like I'm getting plenty of lumbar support with just the cushion. And when I raise and lower this, I hardly feel anything inside. One difference that you're gonna see in terms of a feature is that on the Zody 2, you can adjust them individually. With this one, you don't have that option. It either just goes up or down. So this is why I said again in the beginning of the video that I really think you can go without the lumbar option, but on the Zody 2, I think you absolutely need the lumbar option. So let me go ahead and break down why, okay? So again, this is using mesh, which is gonna be a lot more flexible, a lot more bendy, moves with your back totally. And so when I sit in the chair, and I go ahead and roll and I bend, it really kind of moves with me and it feels pretty good. Because it's mesh, it's going to be much more breathable as well. But then here's where the cons come in. Because it's mesh, right here is a bit scratchy. So if I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt and I keep it here, it's definitely gonna scratch my back up a little bit more. Now, as I mentioned before, the nature of the Zody 2's back is it's pretty darn wide. And because it's so wide, this is me again sitting in an upright position with my chest open. But then when I go into the chair, look at what happens to my shoulders and like everything. It almost feels like I'm kind of like turtling a little bit inside this chair. Now, if you're somebody who has broader back, who has a broader shoulder, like I think this would work. As a matter of fact, people who are 6'2", 6'3" with a broad build, they've mentioned that, hey, they've had a lot of success with this chair. Unfortunately, I'm not built like that. I'm 5'6" with tiny little baby shoulders. So that's me. The other thing is that right now the lumbar support is set at the far bottom position. And what I found is that when sitting in this chair without any lumbar support, and I just relax into the chair, I find that I kind of roll backwards into the chair, where again, this is my neutral, ergonomically, quote unquote, sound position. And when I relax into the chair, you're gonna find that I'm leaning a lot back and further into the chair, just because of the nature of the mesh and because there's nothing really there in the middle to kind of prop me up. This is why I said everybody should buy the additional lumbar support with the Zody, because when you bring this up, all of a sudden you have something here that kind of acts as a way to kind of prop that back up and keep your back in a much more ergonomically, quote unquote, sound position where you're staying and you're keeping that back upright. So that little oomph in the back kind of helps raise that back up just like this, instead of slouching backwards all the way inside of your chair. One quick update to my Zody 2 review. In that review, I noted that the seat cushion was like a dense memory foam with a medium firm firmness. And at that point, I had been sitting in it for about 2 weeks. And every time I sat in it, it would always have to reconform to my butt. It would take maybe 20, 30 minutes to do that. So I decided, hey, let me go ahead and continue using it as my daily driver and see what happens to that seat cushion. And I can tell you that now it is my favorite foam seat cushion of any chair, I think, at this point. Yeah, now it's been 3 to 4 weeks, and as soon as I sit in it, it's already conformed to my butt. And I can already tell the difference because this is at the 2-week mark and it's still conforming. But yeah, they use the exact same seat cushion. Excellent, excellent seat cushions. Everything else about these chairs are identical. Let me move the Zody 2 out of the way because I already showed it with that chair. But let's start with the moving up and down feature. So what I love about this is the chair goes up and down, yes, but what I really like about it is that the tab board is in a very convenient location so that you're not having to bend down, because the whole point of adjusting your chair up and down is so that you can meet eye level with your monitor. So like if you're able to sit up and adjust it, that makes it so much more convenient than having to do something like reach down here, oh, am I there? Reach down here, oh, am I there? So yeah, really like where that's placed. The seat pad on this chair can come in and out. By the way, these are all base features, so you don't have to pay extra for any of this. So the way you do this is you gotta move that hip forward, and to move it back, you would kind of tuck that leg back in. And then you get a backstop. And so what the backstop means is that back here, you have this little knob, and it's going to go ahead and control whether or not you're able to tilt back in your chair. So right here, this is locked. And then if I go ahead and unlock it, I'm able to tilt back in my chair. Now, if I want to stop or limit how much I can move back, I can tilt back in my chair, go ahead and lock that there. And what that means is now when I lean back, I can only lean back a limited distance as opposed to going the entire distance. In addition to that, I also have this lever here that's going to control my tilt tension. So how easy it is to tilt back. So if I go ahead and spin it up a little bit here, it's going to be much more difficult to tilt back in my chair. But then if I go ahead and spin this backwards about 10 times, now I'm able to go back in my chair much easier. Now, those are all base features. The one optional feature that you can have is called the forward tilt / perch mode. Now, a lot of chairs have forward tilt. And what that means is that the way you do it is that you lean back in your chair, you go ahead and tilt that thing forward, and you're gonna see that, look, so again, I'll do that one more time so you can see. So this is the standard seating, and then if I go ahead and activate it, you're gonna see that I move forward, the chair tilts forward. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to really plant those feet into the ground, and it encourages better posture. It also allows you to get a little closer to whatever you're doing. Sometimes gamers, programmers, people who do crafts, like sometimes even older folks who have difficulty getting out of their chair. This is a very good feature for them because again, it allows you to get closer, encourages good posture as well. What the Zody does differently, both these Zodys do differently, is that it's got a perch mode. So what that means is, let me go ahead and raise up a little bit because you'll see it easier here. So this is me forward tilted, but what I can do now is I can go into the forward tip of my chair and it's going to tilt forward a little bit more. I don't know if you just saw that, but let me try that again. So this would be forward tilt, but then if I slide down a little bit more, you're gonna see that the chair, the seat pad actually tilts forward just a little bit more. And what this is supposed to be used for is that if you're using a standing desk and you're standing there and you want to rest for a little bit, but you don't wanna sit the entire day, you just want it to be like a reminder, like, hey, I can take a little break, I can take a little break and then I can get up and keep going, then that would mean that, hey, I can sit here and it could be in that same kind of position, and I can get up and I can keep working, and I can take a little bit of a break, and that's kind of what this is supposed to be used for. The arms are able to go up and down, they go forward and back, they can go in and out, and they can also swivel out, middle, and inwards. And what's nice about this is that it's not going to, you can see I'm like hitting it, it's not going to auto adjust on its own. This is a complaint about certain other chairs where sometimes the arms can be too easy to move, and so it doesn't memorize the position that you had them at. That's not really a struggle you're gonna have here. As for the padding on this, it's not really the softest thing in the world. They're okay, but it's got a nice little roll in here, which is kind of nice so that you can kind of, when you're sitting like this, that edge isn't going to be digging into your arm, because I typically use my arms not like, you know, who sits like this, right? You're just sitting like this on a keyboard or something. So having the inward roll is nice so that nothing is digging into this part of your forearm. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, and links to everything will be down in the description. Until next time, stay honest.